Hi everyone, this is Anna, and I'm excited to have the September paper pumpkin kit here. This month's kit is called Haunts and Harvest, and it has these adorable treat boxes inside, the contents to make really cute treat boxes. Now, I always say this when we have treat boxes or something that's not cards. If you got this kit and you are interested in looking for in other ways to use the kit besides the treat boxes, watch along because I have some really neat alternative ideas later on. I have some to actually make the treat boxes differently and some to make some really cute cards with these pieces. So here's what comes in this kit. These are the pieces to make the treat boxes, and I'll show you how those come together here in just a second. We have lots of die cuts to make them as directed. Now, I'm looking for my instructions. I was going to show them to you, but they're probably lost on my craft table. Okay, I found them. Okay, so here is what these are designed to create, is these adorable little pumpkin tree boxes. Aren't these cute? But like I said, I know some of you don't really use a lot of tree boxes. You'd rather have cards, so we will get to that in a little bit. But what comes with it, we have our stamp set as always. So we have some leaves. We have one that is just kind of a little texture stamp. I'll show you one way that I used it in a little bit. And then some nice greetings in a really nice font. Thank you. Hey there, pumpkin. I pick you every time. Happy Halloween, and you're a blessing. So some nice stamps. We got Soft Succulent as our Stampin' Spot this month. And we have die cuts. So the black ones, these are the faces for the pumpkins, but these, I'll show you in a little bit what those are for. Some leaf die cuts. These are kind of fun for those are called the tendrils of the pumpkin, the little curlicues. And then the adhesive to make it really easy to put these together. So what I want to do first is show you how to put one of these together. And always remember to use these instructions. I love how Stampin' Up! Has improved the instructions. How they're more detailed, they're in color, and I usually don't do this, but I'm going to show you this time. And I'm going to try to mention this every time here from now on. This little QR code on the back, I did not know how to use these until a couple of months ago, which I do quite a bit with technology, so the fact that I didn't know how to use these, I feel is like kind of embarrassing. But all you have to do to use this, if you don't know this, open up the camera on your phone. You do not have to take a picture of it, but open up the camera, focus in pretty close on this little QR code, and a little message is going to pop up that asks you if you want to go to the website. Click on that little message, and it's going to take you to the website with tutorial videos, which is really, really handy. I pulled it up in just a couple of seconds that way. So here I will bring in one of the bases for one of these cute little boxes. The first thing I want to do is put the adhesive on, and then show you how to fold it up and decorate it. So you want one of the long adhesive strips on that little side flap, and then each of the small flaps at the bottom, we'll get one of these shorter ones. The hexagon you can leave without anything on it. Now I'm questioning, is that a hexagon? That is a hexagon, I think. Okay. So now we can, it's up to you. You could fold these pieces now to loosen up those creases, or you can wait and do it after you put the base of it together, or after you pull the adhesive off, I should say. Now, one little tip, if you ever have a hard time getting the paper backing off of our foam dimensionals or these little adhesive strips, same thing with the little adhesive dots that come with these kits. I have found that it is so much easier to use them with my Take Your Pick tool. So this is just my piercing tool. And if I just poke it right into the side and lift, it often lifts that up, and I don't have to do it with my fingers that way. So I've removed all of those. What I want to do first is attach this side to this extra little flap. So when you do this, try to make sure that your score lines down here line up so it's level. Once that is together and you gave it a good press, you want to fold these little tabs in. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. And then you're going to fold this one over. Now as you do this, you may need to bend the box back and forth, give it a squeeze in a certain direction to try to make everything line up. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but give that a press. And then if you really want to make sure it's good and stuck, stick your fingers inside and you can press down that way. Okay, so here is the start of our box. In just a couple more minutes, we will have this done. What you want to do next is curl the tops of these. So you can grab a pencil or some other kind of round tool. And you do have to be a little bit gentle doing this so that you don't pull everything apart. I will tell you this so that hopefully you can avoid my mistake, is on these pieces that have the extra tab, you want to be extra careful, because when I did my first one, I was pulling up and curling it just like I'm showing you here. Well, I didn't stop and I wasn't careful when I got to the top and I almost ripped that tab off. And the little tab is pretty important when we go to put these together. Okay, so get those all curled. Now you're going to fold in one of the ones that doesn't have a tab and bring these two beside it together and hook them. Okay, so we have 3 of our pieces basically attached and in place. Now we're going to fold these 2 that don't have flaps in and bring this last one with the tab in. And what we want to do is slide it under the one that's right there and around. Okay, so when you slide it in place, it is going to, you'll see evenly the 3 different tabs. I'll show that to you again. So after you get your first 2 done, you want to fold this in, these 2 without a tab, and then slide this last one underneath the tab on the right side and bring it right through behind that. Okay? Hopefully that helps you. The first time I was doing that, it took me a couple of minutes to figure it out. So once you see it, that should help a little bit. Now we have some things to decorate. We had a whole bunch of leaf die cuts, which here is one of my empty pieces from the leaf die cuts. I used the stamps and I stamped the leaf veins onto this one and basically the whole leaf onto that one. We also have some of these, I'm not sure what to call them. It's a wire wrapped in something like raffia, I think. So what you can do with these, here I'll grab a full one, is to wrap that around a pencil to make it nice and curly. Slide that off, and I should have a tag here somewhere. I'm not sure. We can go ahead and create another one right now. So we have all of these tag die cuts and the stamp. So what should this one say? I think we'll do the Hey There Pumpkin one. Pull that off, mount it to my block. I'll show you a couple of tips here for using these Stampin' Spots. I don't always show these on camera, and sometimes I'm using my big ink pad. But if you have a small stamp like this, it's pretty easy just to ink it how I'm showing you right now. If you have a large stamp and you are wanting to ink it with these Stampin' Spots, what I recommend is laying your block upside down here and then using your Stampin' Spot upside down and inking it just like this. That is much, much easier than trying to ink it this way when you have a large stamp. Okay, so we'll stamp that. Pull this out. I just love these kits and how everything is so easy. All the die cuts are prepared. I can use it as intended, which I'm showing you now, or you can always do fun and creative things, which I'll show you lots of ideas here in a minute. So what we can do is, and I'm learning a little bit because this is actually my first one I've put together to look like a pumpkin. This is the first one I'm doing the normal way, the way I'm supposed to. I'll slide this down on here. And then I'm going to straighten some of this out a little bit. I actually want to wrap this around very carefully. Sort of crisscross that to hold that in place. Isn't this cute? Now we'll add some leaves to it. Here are the little adhesive dots that come with the kit. And a lot of times I don't show these and how to use them. So we're going to do that today too. So here's another way I like to use this take your pick tool. Looks like I got an extra one stuck to my finger, so we'll add that one on too. So once they're on there, you can use this take your pick tool to bump those paper pieces right off. I'm curious if you have any other tips for how to use these little dots, if you have any other easy tricks to make it easier. So if you do, let me know. Then I am just trying to figure out where I want to arrange these little leaves. Now, I will mention this, when you are assembling these, you want to put your treats inside before you put everything together and decorate them. So find some fun treats. Okay, and you want to give these a nice good press to hold everything in place. But there is our cute little pumpkin. Now let me find the pieces for a face, and we'll add a little pumpkin face on, a little jack-o'-lantern face. So we have mouth pieces. We'll add this down here. And then we have triangles for the eyes. If you have a hard time with these, here is another use for the take your pick tool. You could use that piercing tip that was just there, but I'm going to use the spatula tip. Place it on where you want it, pull it off. Okay. So there you have these really cute treat boxes that the kit is made for. Now, real quick, before I move on to my alternatives, I do want to mention that this month's kit was also designed to allow you to create a wheelbarrow. Now, I think we have a picture here on the back. Oh, it's not even here. Oh my gosh, I should have grabbed a picture. But there is a way you can use the box. I'll open this up here and use these inner pieces. See how they are printed with some black lines and some numbers? You can turn this into a wheelbarrow that you can use to display all of your cute little treat boxes. So you can just use it as a decoration if you like, instead of filling them with treats. If you scan that QR code, like I mentioned, I think the first video shows you how to put the kit together and the second video shows you how to do that wheelbarrow. So you may want to take a look at that. Now let's look at some alternatives. I'll show you several, and then we're going to make one together. So let's look at some other treat box ideas first. When I looked at the treat box bases, if you flip them over, you have different colors. So I looked at the colors I had available, and I thought it would be really cute to make a couple of different ones. Different kinds of produce, we'll say, different kinds of fruit besides a pumpkin. So here is one. I used this red pattern that almost looks like a fingerprint, and the other leaves, the other leaf shape that comes in the kit. And instead of making the stem curly Q, I just made it straight, and we have a cute little apple treat box. So these would be really fun for teacher gifts. You could even save these for another time of year, for Christmas. Anytime you want to send something nice in to the teachers, if you have a child in school, or if you just want to do something nice for a few of the teachers at your school. There is the apple. We'll leave the pumpkin over here. And I have a third fruit. So this one, I used one of the other red designs that had just like light pink flecks in it. And I used a stamp from the Hey Birthday Chick stamp set. I used this little confetti, and I was going to say glitter, but I guess just confetti stamp. stamped it all over with black to make it look like seeds on the strawberry. Used those leaves that I used on the pumpkin one, and I thought that turned out really cute too. So there are 3 ideas for using the treat boxes basically as they're designed. Now let me show you 3 card ideas. So we'll look at one first that looks similar to what the treat boxes are, and it is a pumpkin. So what I did for this was I took the treat box, I cut these pieces into sections on that score line. So what I ended up with are a bunch of pieces that look about like this. Then I rounded them a little bit here. I rounded them a little bit down on the bottom end. Trim off that little edge and cut off the tab at the top. Okay, so I had a bunch of pieces like this. And I created this cute pumpkin. So I just layered those, added the leaves. I did add a little bit of that wire piece for the stem. And I used that texture stamp to actually stamp the stem itself. And then I added this for the tendril and the little tag that says, "Hey there, pumpkin." So there's one card idea. Let's look at a second one. And I would not have thought of this, but I was inspired by the alternative ideas on the direction sheet. This is on the back side, and I really like this because it gives you a few alternative ideas of how to use it. So here is one. I did not create one of these, but a cute little turkey box. And you could trim so the way I trimmed these pieces for the projects I made, you could trim them into the feathers for the turkey. So those are pretty adorable. 2 little card examples and this little monster. And I wouldn't have thought of this card if I hadn't seen that little monster tree box. So what I did, I took a few of those little pieces that I'd trimmed. I took 3 of them, trimmed them down and rounded them, added some black ink on the top, and I used those black stickers for the eyebrows, the mouth, and I guess those are, do monsters have like funny looking ears? I guess that's what that is. I don't know. Added a tag, put it on that brick embossed background, and I thought that turned out really cute. So if you like Halloween cards, that's a pretty fun one. Now, if you're not so much into Halloween, these next 2 ideas are for you. This one I've already put together. So what I did for this one was I actually took one of these whole boxes. I put adhesive on the back of 4 of the sections. I did trim off this upper tab, so you can do that first. Then I put adhesive on the back of 4 of the sections. I stuck it down basically in this location onto that card base, cut off the extra. I did trim the hexagon down so that it looked like a normal flap instead of having that big hexagon there. So I attached that to the background just for a fun background, something different. And then I used all of these leaf die cuts, stamped them, attached them with the little greeting and the twine. So I thought that turned out really pretty and doesn't look anything like the kit. So this just gives you ideas of how you can use these kits and make things that are totally different. Now, let me make some space. We're going to make one more card right now. And this is going to be a really pretty fall card that does not have to be for Halloween. So bring in some scrap paper, and there's kind of a trend going the last couple of months. I think I keep using my blending brushes and leftover die cut pieces to make card backgrounds. So this is not completely new, but it will give you another idea of how to use this basic technique. So I have my green blending brush. I am going to use my Stampin' Spot, and I'm going to lay this over top. You can use some washi tape or some removable tape to hold this in place if you want, but I am just going to hold it in place and move it around a few times. So I am using my soft succulent ink here. Normally I would use my big ink pad or maybe I would even bring in my Blackberry Bliss ink that would match this background. But because this is really dark purple, I know you're not going to be able to tell that it's not purple ink. It's just going to make it a little bit darker than it was to start with. So, fun story about why I'm not using one of my other ink pads is I am all packed up and ready. My stamp camp is this weekend, both at my old home in Ohio, which I have turned into a craft retreat, and my new home in Indiana. I guess it's not really new anymore. I've been here for 2.5 years, but so all of my stuff is packed up. I am headed to Ohio later today, and we are going to bring joy to lots and lots of crafters this weekend with lots of stamp camp projects. I need to do the math. We are doing 16 projects. It's 14 cards and 2 3D projects. 16 projects times, I prepared enough for 60 people, which is a few extras. But, so each of these projects has, I don't know, minimum of 3. Some of them have 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces per project. I cut thousands and thousands of pieces of paper for this. So, I'm pretty excited that it's finally time for stamp camp after all the prep. But every one of my stamp pads is packed up, and I had to scrounge around to find some supplies. That's why I'm using one of these blocks like this instead of my nice ones. Every block I own, every nice block I own, is attached to stamps for stamp camp. So if you are anywhere close to Ohio or, you know, willing to drive or fly, you should check out my craft retreat. It's called Windmill Lane Farm. The website is windmilllanefarm.com, and you could always message me and I can get you some information, but it's a lot of fun. The groups who come and stay just absolutely love it. So, all right, so we have this pretty background with the leaves. Isn't that neat? And another way to use the kit that you may not have necessarily thought of. Now I pulled in some pieces from, this is our Blackberry Beauty Ephemeral Pack. And these are die cuts. I did not do any of the cutting or stamping on these, but I think these are so, so pretty. So I decided I just want to add a few to make kind of a little arrangement here on the front. And then we'll add just a couple more things to finish it off. So we'll add this piece first. We'll add this piece next. Now when I do die cuts like this, if there are a few spots to put glue, I just put glue on a few spots and don't really worry about the rest. I actually kind of like the look of it being loose and it not all being attached down. If you don't like that, you can, of course, sponge some glue across the back there. That's a pretty handy tip. Or use your silicone craft sheet and your tape runner. You can put adhesive on the back of these small pieces that way as well. Let's put a couple of dimensionals on this. And I think I will cut one in half. Actually, this is the way I like to use those extra pieces around the end or the edge, is to just snip them into pieces. And then you have them for smaller areas. So you can just pull those paper backing pieces off again, but I'll show you here. You can either lift and remove them with this take your pick tool, or the other thing you can do is just pierce it. Just pierce that straight through that paper backing and lift, and it pulls those off really quickly. I think I got all of those. Yep. So we'll add this piece over top. Isn't that pretty? I love gold and purple for fall, and this this embellishment pack is just beautiful. Okay, now I prepared this tag. This pretty tag is also from that same pack. It has a hole punched down here, which I tied that ribbon through. I already have it prepared at the dimensionals. So we will stick it on right there. And this card is finished as well. So I'll bring all these back in for a second. I hope these gave you some really good ideas for using this month's kit. If you're not a subscriber and you're interested, I will share a link where you can sign up. This kit is just $22 a month, and you really get a lot. You get the stamps, the ink, the paper, and those stamps and ink you can always reuse later on with other projects, as well as your leftover paper pieces. So thanks so much for watching along. If you have questions about these projects, please let me know. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you again next time.